Hi guys, welcome to another live stream from PBTV. I have a lot of toys to talk about today, so I've brought a plethora of the Vortex red dots, magnifiers, prisms, flip to sides, all the sort of short to medium range optics. Nothing you'd probably see on a sniper or anything like that. This is all aimed at that sort of AR platform, maybe pistol, and combos that you can have with sort of magnifiers, flip to sides, and various things like that. So I'm going to go through quite a few of them. If there's any specific questions, functions, features, anything like that, drop a question down below. We'll flash it up on screen and we'll have a little chat about it. Try and make sure that we can get the correct combo that you're after for your style of gameplay, because there is a lot of information to take in quite rapidly when it comes to red dots. A lot of terminology that's not common in day-to-day life. And it can be quite confusing at times. We've got questions coming in already that we'll get to very shortly, but we will cover as much as possible we can here. So if you want to talk about optics or anything in general, have a little chat with us. We've got a few comments coming in that we will talk about. So the first one, we'll go over this before we dig deep into the Vortex. Hello, what's the situation with the G&G LevAR? Have they had the stocks replaced due to the manufacturing error? So first thing is, it's not really a manufacturing error. So the grips and everything are made correctly. So for example, like the short ones and things like that, they've not been manufactured wrong. There is no technical defect with them. The actual stock on the longer version causes leverage. So if they're dropped, if they're twisted or anything like that, that's what's causing this potential breakage. Mainly due to either dropping them or incorrect use. We've not really heard of any faults or failures with ours that haven't come from, I wouldn't say misuse, but accidents, dropping them. I mean, any platform is going to break when you drop it. G&G have responded that they are going to make some slight tweaks and changes to the grip. This hasn't delayed the manufacturing. The manufacturing has continued in its standard procedure, and they are still shipping and everything like that. They are just making extra grips that you will be able to replace at a later date. But I ran one at the stand. You can see the video on YouTube. I absolutely ragged that thing, wasn't kind to it at all, and it was perfectly fine. I threw it around like it wasn't mine, and there was no problem with it. So I've got no concerns about them at all. So they are still on track for September release, we believe, shipping dependent with canals and boats and things like that. But we'll still be getting them in. We have no concerns about them at all. So if you're still looking at getting one, we still have the email back in stock. Is the fastest way to get notified as soon as they land with us. So we'll start looking at some Vortex. Oh, we've got Reaper dropping in already. Hi Stu, I'm looking at raised optic with a nice size eyepiece as I wear full face. What are your thoughts? So I presume what you mean by raised is as on a riser. So we've got a couple. We've got the Spark Solar, we've got the Crossfire, the Spark AR, things like that. These have both the options when it comes to raised or lower. So if we have a closer look inside the Spark Solar in its box, very similar to the Crossfire, the Spark AR, and various others. They are very similar tools inside. So we do have the instructions, which you're all going to read very carefully. We've got the Optic, the mount, and various tools here. So I'll grab the Optic out of there. As you can see, it's currently on its low mount setup. So this probably isn't exactly what you're after, but all of these come with a high mount option. So what these all do is they have caps on each end. All the red dots are very, very similar. The Spark Solar, I believe this one is. Yeah, make sure I'm reading the right one. So you do have a little solar panel on the top just here. This isn't a replacement for a battery. This is a battery assist. So it's not going to run without a battery in it. It just helps. We've got windage and elevation adjustments, and if you were wanting this one in its high mount, you have 4 screws on the bottom here that you can change for its high profile mount. Depending on the style of lower face pro that you wear, you could take the option to even go on a higher mount. Something like a Unity, PTS do things that instead of it being this sort of 1 inch style mount, so it would be about like that. You'll get a better look when I get the crossfire out. You might want to look at a unity. Also depends on the platform that you're running. So instead of having this low mount, you've got a higher mount, and then you can even go to a unity that's even higher, meaning that you don't have to worry about getting too much of a cheek weld on it. You will see that there is a slight angle to the optic in here. This is to assist in light transfer and things like that. So again, I will get one of the other optics out so we can have a look at what it looks like on its standard mount. Again, all of these can be mounted high or low in their own set. So again, we've got the crossfire here. Again, this, if we have a closer look at this, this is already on its high mount. So if I take, this has non-tethered caps, so you can just take these off. So as you can see here, we have a much higher mount, and it is still mounted the same way. So you have a Torx bit here, you can unscrew that, attach it to your RIS, and then tighten this bit up. All the tools and everything are included inside the box. Slightly different to the Spark AR is you can see the elevation and windage have little tools on, included tools on the caps. So we have even more comments coming in. This makes me very happy. So WazDog, with a lifetime warranty, can you use it multiple times if your optic breaks or gets shut out? Yes, so it is a lifetime warranty. So when it comes to, so we'll have a look at this in general. For example, if this was mounted on a platform and you're playing and a BB strikes this, it breaks the glass, and your view through the optic is, I think the term is what they use a lot, is your view through the optic is obscured or not possible. So it can be as little as a BB hitting the front of the glass and cracking it, or it could be you've run it over in your car and there's pretty much nothing left. As long as you have a part of this left, it is fine. You don't need a receipt, you don't need proof of purchase, anything like that. It is the item that has the warranty. So if they send it away and the glass is replaced and they repair it and you get the same item back, you still have that warranty. If it is completely ruined and can't be fixed, and they send you a brand new one, you have a brand new item, it has the same warranty. If this item stops being made, and there is a new one, say the Crossfire stops being made and the Crossfire 2, or in the future there's a Crossfire 4, for example. The prime example at the moment is the UH1. Isn't now made, there is the UH Mark II. So if you've still got a UH1 and it breaks for whatever reason, again, gets shot out, dropped, smashed, absolutely anything, they will replace it with the new model. It has to be sent to Vortex themselves to inspect it, because again, there's lots of clones and all sorts out there, but they will inspect it, and if it is not repairable, it's just absolutely swapped out straight away, no problem. And that is to the item, not the purchaser. So again, if you pass it on to a friend or anything like that, it is this that is covered, not the customer. So again, this is the Crossfire red dot. This was probably the red dot that started it all for Vortex in the airsoft world. I know pretty much all of my friends that I play alongside have either had one or still run one of these. It is just a super robust, super easy to use platform. If I have a quick look on the back, it's not got its MOA on there, so I'll have a look at that at a later date. But it is just the light collection, the combination with the flip to sides and things like that make it a very, very, very robust and easy to use optic. So we've got another question from Reaper. Do any come in other colours? Yes, we currently don't have one, but I will go on to the next optic here, which is the Spark AR. We've got it in black, so we'll get the Spark AR red dot out here. So very, very recently, this is obviously the black version. They made a tan version of this. So again, if we have a closer look at what comes in the box here, again, we've got various plates and things like that. This is, it comes without the actual RIS mount on here. So what you'll get is kind of like spacers. So rather than it being a high-low style system, it is pretty much set as it is, and you get little spacers to slightly adjust how this sits up and down. This does have a rubber sort of protective coating, not coating, but sort of a coat on it, if you will. And again, these are what they're calling tethered lens caps. So the reason for this is obviously they are attached, and you can click these together and hold them like that. So when you are actually using this, they're not flapping around and just being in your way. Again, controls for this. These have the, I've just realized I never even went onto the toolless windage elevation on the previous one, so we'll have a look at that now. So what we mean by that is the Spark AR has sort of almost like you need a screwdriver or a penny or something to adjust it. The way that these work is when you take this turret off, the actual turret turns upside down and becomes the tool to adjust it. We had a discussion before going live about maybe doing a video about how to zero optics and various different ways. The problem with us doing a video like that, not really a problem, but something that we will have to look at, is that if this is on your platform and I'm zeroing this, so I've got elevation and windage, some optics zero in different ways. So if I adjust this one to the right, some optics moves where the projectile lands, and some optics move where the dot is. So I could move this to the right and the dot moves that way, which means the round's going to land further to the left, and vice versa. Some turning right means the drop of the round is going to move to the right. So we're going to try and figure out a way of doing a sort of comprehensive video on how to zero red dots and scopes and optics that make it a little bit easier for you. Let us know what kind of optics you're using and if you've had any experience with that, of it being a bit of a pain sometimes. With batteries for these, and most of the red dots are like the watch style batteries, like CR123s. Just trying to be careful unscrewing this. So on this one, it is included, but it is a AAA battery in this. People always ask, how long does the battery last in an optic? In some of the sort of real steel ones like the Vortexes or things like that, it's about 50,000 hours. So everyone's heard of it when you've opened up your box on a game day and you go, oh, I've left my optic on, I haven't got a spare battery, my optic's not going to work today. When it comes to Vortex, they're going to last for 50,000 hours. So once you put a battery in this thing, it's going to run pretty much forever. I mean, I have run through a couple of batteries with mine, but again, it's years of leaving it on. Reaper dropping more questions in. Thank you very much. How durable are these, as I do 24-hour milsims in all conditions? From looking at some of the warranties and things that I've seen, it takes a lot to sort of break these things. I mean, a BB can crack the lens, but they are still functional. When it comes to wind, rain, things like that, looking on the back. So again, if you're running 24 hours, we've got 50,000 hour battery life. They are rated for pretty much any weather, shock proof, nitrogen purge. So again, you're not going to get any condensation or anything like that inside. So when it comes to durability, that's where the sort of, when you're looking at the budget and things of these things, they are completely sealed, they are weatherproof, they are robust, they're really, really sort of high quality items. So if we go on to the sort of, we've looked at the three red dots that have been the mainstay for Vortex for a very long time, super, super popular. So one of the things that you can combine with the red dot is the VMX 3T. I haven't got one of the micros. I really want to bring one of them on, but they just, as soon as they come in, they fly out because they are just so good. My other half's got one and I try and borrow it all the time. So if we have a closer look at the 3x magnifier. So again, simple packaging that you can get out. As you can see, it is not mounted. It comes separate. So the way that these work, it is not a spring-loaded style system. So when this is on, you do have the option of which way around you want it. You put this thing together and you can see that it will flip to side out the way and be a magnifier for your red dot. Nice and easy to do. The main thing that we have to look at when doing these is these do need zeroing. A lot of people think they can just throw them behind their red dot and it will function exactly the same. What you've got to realize is this glass is still projecting that dot through into your eye through a magnifier. So if it is off at an angle, it's going to throw your round off as well. So what you do is you zero your red dot and then you've got adjustments on here to allow you to zero this. What you do is however you're zeroing your red dot, just continue doing the same thing. Then put this on and zero this through the same thing. So you then don't adjust your red dot to this, you adjust this to your red dot. And again, you can mount this either way. Again, if you're right or left-handed, or depending how you're wanting this to flip out the way, it's entirely up to you. It is not locked to one side. You do have a diopter at the back. This, again, is mainly for eye relief and things like that, just to get a little bit more of a clearer vision through it. What I have found, especially with some of the very, very high-end optics, personally, I'm not overly a fan of how holographic optics look plain. So, for example, like the UH1, it's a little bit cloudy, it's a little bit ghosty, and that's nothing against the optics. That's my eyesight. I do have very good eyesight, but it's just the way that it goes through. It's sort of almost slightly distracting. When you see them through a magnifier, it just brings it all together, and it is absolutely incredible. Throwing the 3x magnifier on a Spark or a Crossfire, it was just a little bit of a game changer for me that made me go away from short dots for a little bit. So I've always hyped up short dots, that 1 to 5, being able to zoom anything that you want, but having that sort of very, very crisp, clean dot on a 3x that I can just throw backwards and forwards was, it brought me back into that sort of much simpler optic setup, and I went back to the micro 3x, and it was the Spark Solar that I think we've got now. So we're looking at the brand new 3 that are in front of me now. So these are, we've got the Defender ST, the Defender CCW, so these are reasonably similar, slight differences in looks, and then we've got the Defender XL. As you can see on the boxes here, we've got 3 MOA, 3 MOA, and 5 MOA. I'll go through the items and then we'll have a little chat about MOA, because it's not the most obvious thing, and it can become a bit of a deeper conversation. So we'll have a look at the Defender CCW, because I know there's someone behind the camera that is eyeing this thing up and is very, very keen on throwing this onto his brand new Staccato, and it looks very, very nice. And now that we've got it out of the box, we can see how it would look. So again, these are not bespoke and only used on pistols. As you can see, it comes with the 20mm RIS setup. So same Torx bit on the side, undo that, it will go onto any standard 20mm RIS. You can take this off, and then we have screws on the top. If you look on the back of the box, we have mounting footprint, shield, RMS. There are lots of different plates for pistols, so if you are looking on this being your red dot for your pistol of choice, make sure that you have the right footprint. This does come with a lot of screws in it, but have a look at our description. We have all the different specs, and have a look at all the details that make sure that this can fit the plate that you have on there. So when it comes to controls for the new Defenders, we've got a button on the left and a button on the right. Again, this is the on and off switch and the brightness setting of it. We do have the warranty sticker on there. I'll leave that on for now. But we do have this new knurling all around the front in here. Not really going to be overly used in Airsoft, but the idea of that is this can become almost like an assist to a sort of emergency reload. So I think that's where they're going with this stuff, is you can just rack this against a wall, a bench, your clothing, anything like that, and you're not going to hit or damage the optic, even though you'd get a new one if you did. But I think in that situation, you're not really bothered about your optic. As you can see just in there's a little cross. Where that cross is, that's the bit that you undo. 2032 style watch battery. And again, this thing will run for 9,500 hours, even if you left it on. Pressing both the buttons together is how you turn it off, and you do get the nice protective cap to put on it. I'm going to leave these out because they are very pretty, and Mike can look at it whilst he's behind the camera and think, oh, I really need it. So if we then have a look at the Defender ST, again, looking on the back, this is a Delta Point Pro style mounting. It's got all the weights and everything on there, but this is very, very similar, if not almost identical. There is just some slightly different colorings and shapes to it. So we have a slightly shallower glass at the front. The buttons are the same. The battery mount's the same, and we have slightly different zeroing toolage here. Again, still, you can take this off and put it on a pistol or run it on RIS, that's totally fine. But again, very, very similar and still 3 MOA. So if we then go to the Defender XL, this is where it gets a little bit different. So if we have a look at this one. So it's called an XL because it is absolutely massive for a dot sight. We are looking at a Delta Point Pro style mounting footprint. So again, if your things fit that, this thing will drop straight on as long as you've got the right screws and everything. So if we take the cap off, we can immediately see a much, much larger dot sight. Again, same, we've got the torque style bit at the bottom, RIS, so it's all adjustable and good to go. So you can fit this on pistols or ARs as much as you want. We've got screws inside here so you can mount it to that plate, and we have a slightly different style battery mounting system. It is pushed through and it is locked in place, so there's no screws or anything needed to do. We've got Reaper asking questions again. Do you have any auto off if it's left on? I don't think Vortex really do, because I think their premise is there are some optics that do have sort of an auto off, and then they've got almost like a motion system. I think Vector Optics have some and various others. But I think with law enforcement and things like that, because there are a lot of static moments in that kind of environment, especially in military, police, or all like that, you could be sat with your pistol in your holster. I don't think any of these have motion activation. I could be very, very wrong, but I will double check that. But I don't think Vortex do motion activated or sleep mode optics. That they are completely a thing, and they do serve a purpose, especially with red dots, pistols, things like that. That as soon as you draw it out, it turns on and you are good to go. So coming back to the Defender XL, a much bigger dot. Again, I had a look at this on a pistol and it's almost a little bit too big. It's almost sort of garish on a pistol, but I can see this on a sort of riser, on an AR, something CQB, a little PDW, and I think it's going to be a very sort of easy to acquire sight with the glass size and things like that. WASDog, they do. You have to turn it on, should say it is in the manual. However, there's no shake to wake. So what they may, I presume what you mean in there is they do have an auto off, but no auto on, and it has to be, there'll be a way to turn it on through the settings and probably button presses or something like that. Thank you very much. So the bigger optic and the bigger dot. So we'll have a little chat about MOA. So minutes of angle when it comes to red dots and things like that. Sometimes when you're reading it, it might mean absolutely nothing to you. And many, many years ago, it meant absolutely nothing to me. In Airsoft, is it really a thing? Not really. So the minutes of angle is the physical size of the dot that is projected onto the back of the screen and how much that is going to cover at a certain distance. For example, you've got a 3 MOA dot here and a 5 MOA dot here. At 100 yards, these dots are going to cover the equivalent of 3 inches or 5 inches of your target. Again, in Airsoft, that means very, very little. The main thing for Airsoft is a bigger dot is better in CQB, very broadly speaking. The reason for that is, especially for backup sites or CQB, when this comes up, if you have a bigger dot, your eye is going to lock onto that dot quicker. So especially if you're coming around a corner and you come up on someone, your eye is going to find that dot in the optic faster than the dot that is probably about half the size. So that is probably the only benefit, pro con. Again, if you're running outdoors and you quite like that small dot and you roughly know, and you're kind of running the red dot as a more shoot through the tube thing, and you're only using the dot for them precise shots, the smaller dot is probably better, because again, it's not covering as much of a target at that 50 to 100 yards. So what we're meaning by minutes of angle is literally the degrees in a circle at 100 yards in inches, very broadly speaking. There's a lot more to it than that, but most of the time, zeroing an optic is done in minutes of angle. So when you're doing the clicks, what it means is that dot is going to move 1 inch at 100 yards in a certain direction. Most of the time what we're doing is we'll fire a few rounds, adjust it, fire a few rounds, adjust it, and we will lead on. When it comes to real steel, there's more involved with rounds and having to pay for it all and that kind of stuff. So Airsoft, we're quite lucky because BBs are cheap. But we are very impressed with the new Defender range. They are going to be really, really popular. I see loads of people throwing them on pistols. I think the Defender XL is probably going to be more suited to that CQB build, sort of a PDW style system, having that really fast to acquire red dot. And it's just such a huge bit of glass that you can quite easily find targets through it. The Defender ST and the CCW, definitely going to be seeing them on all sorts of pistols in the future. So something, going on to the slightly larger optics, I will caveat that this is probably the side I like to live on. These are a little bit different, but people do swear by these because of the different optics that are going through them. Wazdog throwing questions up again. What miniature red dot footprint does the Spitfire 5x support? That is a very good question. We'll skip the Spitfire AR and we'll go on to the HD because I presume this is what you're wanting to talk about. So we will have a quick look on the back, see if it says. If not, I will find your comment afterwards and we will definitely find it. It actually does not have the footprint written on the back of the box. So what we can do is if we have a closer look inside here, we obviously have tools again on the right hand side and we have the Spitfire 5x in the box. So again, it is on its high mount. You can low mount these. To be honest, I don't really know why you would. I've not really had too much hands-on use with Prism sights, mainly because they are nice. They serve a function, almost replacing things like ACOGs or the fixed sort of magnification optics. But where these sit on an AR, I'm not a huge fan of how it looks. So again, going away from the actual functionality of this thing being an absolute great optic, you have to almost sit these where the rear iron sights would be on your AR. So I'm not overly a fan of how it looks once you've set this thing up. But what Wazdog was asking there is these two screws here, you could take this plate off and the Defenders, or one of them, will fit on here. There is no information on the back of the box what this footprint is, but what we will do, I will find out and we will put it on the description of this on the website and link it to the correct Defender so that people know exactly what fits on here. This plate does come off and is replaced underneath, so this is a protective plate. Other controls that we have on it, again, we've got the plus minus on the left-hand side. Again, brightness for the reticule that is inside, that if you are curious, is very different to other stuff. So again, those that have looked at ACOGs and things before, you've almost got that EOTech style circle, a dot in the middle, and then you've got mil range. So you will be able to sort of range people with this. So we've got more questions coming in. Kanye asking, which red dot would you recommend for something like a Ruger target pistol? If you're doing targeting, you're obviously going beyond that 10 to 15 foot range quite often. So you've got a couple of things. Depending on the mounting system of the Ruger, if it is RIS, you could quite easily look at one of the crossfires, but it is going to add a chunk of weight to your platform. So again, RIS will mount both of the Defenders on, the ST or the CCW. But if you are if you're looking for target and you're looking for precision and you're wanting that clean, precise dot, the bigger glass is the ST. So you're not going to lose as much of your peripheral vision and you've got a much bigger sort of subjective plane to look through. But you do have that nice, clean, precise 3mm dot that's going to be like, it's not going to cover any of your targets depending on what you're shooting. I don't know what targets or things that you're focusing on, but probably the ST is going to be the best option. So again, coming back to the Spitfire HD, we've got elevation and windage on the side. Again, these are tool required, but you can do them on the fly. There's no covers or anything on them. So anything like a screwdriver or a penny, you can adjust these. We do have tethered caps again, so these do click together, making it nice and easy to keep them out the way. And we do have a diopter style system on the back. Again, it's not really changing the eye relief. It's more focus distance to make it much easier. You can see we've got a very similar, if not identical, mounting system to the previous red dots that we've looked at. You can then low mount this. Again, it's going to be really far back, so if you are going to low mount this, you are going to need almost like a drop stock or have something that comes down. Something like a lever, the LevAR that people were talking about earlier. It might function very, very well on something like that, a low mount, as long as you can get a good enough eye pro. Because again, this is fixed 5 times. And Prisms, the main reason why these are so popular at the moment is because they are getting 5 times magnification with very, very little glass inside. So there's very little distortion. You're getting loads of light transfer through the objective lens, subjective lens, and there's I can't remember the term for it. It's going to rack my brain unless I look on the back of one of these. It'll come to me in a second. It's where at the edge of the optic you're starting to get mirage effects and optic throw off that this doesn't really have, and it is a really nice, clean, powerful optic to be using on an AR. In Airsoft, a fixed 5 times, it sits in a very weird position, so it is going to be on a DMR or a Bolty, which at that point you may be looking at something that has an adjustable magnification. So if you are looking at the Spitfire and you're wanting something as good as a Spitfire, there is a 3 times version as well. 3 times is probably one of the better fixed optic zoom options for Airsoft. So going back to the Spitfire, again, we have another dot MOA, DRT MOA reticle. So we have a dot with a circle. Again, similar to a EOTech, but without the broken externals. Some people absolutely swear by this optic. Personally, I've never really got on with it. Might be, again, purely looks. Again, it is a much larger, bulky style system. We don't have the rubber caps on this one. We have flip-up ones. So again, much easier to sort of just keep them on and run and gun with this thing. It is one of Vortex's older optics, if I remember correctly. So we've got some older style turrets on here. Again, toolless, so you can just click these. But again, you do have different style caps on this. Again, much more inclined to the real steel world than Airsoft, because this is different level clicks for different platforms. Looking at the other ones, we did have 2032 style batteries. This one, again, we're going back to a AAA. One is included in there. And again, we do have different mounting options, different plates, different spaces to raise this up and down as you see fit. You can take these caps off completely if you want to run it as is. And you do have another eye relief system on here. This can marry up with a magnifier as far as I'm aware. I've seen people do it before. But again, it all comes down to the style of dot that you're looking at. If you're enjoying this sort of circle with a dot in the middle, precision shooting, things like that. We've got a nice eye relief. It's not overly bright, and you have 6 brightness settings on this one. They've all got sort of anywhere from 6 to 11 brightness settings. So the last one we'll look at is the Strikefire 2. Again, this is an absolute classic of a dot sight. There's been many iterations of this in various different ones, but Vortex absolutely knocked it out of the park with their system and setup. So it comes with a very different mounting system. We've got almost like a rifle scope style ring to mount this on, undoing the 6 screws on there, mounting it to the system. You can do it either way around. It's entirely up to you. If someone's telling you doing something wrong, but it still works, then it works for you. We've got the toolless windage and elevation systems here, and again we've got the plastic flip-up ones, so you can leave these on. Again, electronic controls on it. We've got buttons on the side for not magnification, nearly misspoke there, brightness settings, and again we've got another optic that has the chamfered glass at the front to make sure there is plenty of light collection coming through the front of this to make sure that it is super, super clear. Crystal clear glass is one of the main selling points for Vortex Optics. So we have covered an absolute chunk of different systems, sights, combos, various different things. As you can see, we've got the magnifier and all the AR, the standard crossfire and the spark solar. We've got the Spitfire. This is available in a 3x as well if you're wanting something that's not overly magnified. The brand new Defender series that I think are going to be incredibly popular, especially with staff looking at this one over here. The Defender XL is going to be definitely more suited to the AR style platform rather than pistols, I think. I do think that this is a little bit obnoxious to fit on the slide of something, even though on the side of the box they have done so. There in real world, it probably has much more palatable function, whereas the weight on this, it is 54 grams. So adding an extra 54 grams to a pistol slide is going to reduce your gas capability massively, whereas you look at something like the CCW, which is half that and functions essentially the same way. You're going to want the lighter version of it, whereas it comes to something like an ARP9 or a Scorpion Evo with a riser on it. This will fit onto various different types of risers. You've got that wide glass, really clear, concise glass, and a perfect size dot for CQB. Then we've gone on to the slightly larger optics, the Strikefire, the Spitfire, and various different things. But hope we've covered a lot there. There was one last little item. So we've had these in for a while. I was just pinged a reminder to have a little talk about these. Someone asked us online recently about why are spirit levels and bubble levels used in airsoft or in shooting in general. When it comes to real steel shooting, it's just to keep your platform level and you know where your zero is. When it comes to airsoft, these things will actually increase your range. Sounds crazy, but what this does is once you set your platform up and you get it level and you put one of these on, your hop works with the hop being perfectly vertical on the BB and the pressure difference of the backward spin being as vertical as possible. So if you have one of these on your bolty, sit on the back and you just have one eye on that as you're aiming, just keep glancing at it, and if you've got your rifle perfectly vertical, you're going to get the best results and perfect hop spin. So because that you're not tilted either way, and your BB is not going to swing off left or right with the Magnus effect taking it off. With these, you're actually going to increase your range by keeping that BB flying straight down the line and having a few extra feet, if not meters, on the maximum range of your rifle. Again, you can get them shots without this. It's just, you know, right, I need as much as possible. Make sure my platform is straight up and down using the spirit level on the back. But someone did ask that, so we thought we'd just mention it whilst we were doing optics. But if that is everything for today, thank you everyone who joined us in chat. It is massively appreciated that you're joining us on this new venture of live streams. It's great to talk about something that was mentioned on the social medias. As always, if you want us to talk about something, drop us a message on Instagram, drop a comment underneath this video, where if you're watching it later down the line, we love to talk about what you want to talk about. I could waffle on for hours about various different things, but if it's not engaging to you guys, there's less questions that come in. So if that is everything for today, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on Tuesday. So every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. we'll continue to go live. In the future, we may start trying to do AEGs again, but for now, we're going to stick to gear. So if that is everything for today, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye.